Hey folks, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm filming this from my apartment in London, and I thought I would make a kind of short series just on some of the kind of comic books that I've been reading recently. My background is that I have read graphic novels maybe for about kind of 6 years or thereabouts, but I've still to kind of get into the actual kind of comic world, the kind of single issue comic world. One thing about that is that I have like very little knowledge of like the kind of Marvel DC type universe, all these kind of regular kind of mainstream comics. Previously, I kind of read more kind of alternative stuff, but over the past year or thereabouts, just because of the pandemic, spending a lot of time indoors, I just started to get into comics basically, and I don't know a whole bunch of people that are actually into comics in real life. So I thought this would be a kind of good way for me to kind of like talk in video form, essentially just to myself to kind of talk about my own thoughts on particular aspects about comics. And today I thought I would begin with this one. Up until now, all I've read comic wise this year, well, it basically started with the kind of Three Jokers series from DC Comics. And I'm going to make a video about that maybe after this actually, and just talk about all the kind of different variant covers and that kind of thing, and what I think about the series. But this was one of the most recent ones that I picked up, and I've literally just kind of finished reading it about 10 minutes ago, and I've made a few notes. So this is Alien. It's the very first one in the Marvel, which has been published by Marvel. It's written by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. We've got artwork by Salvador Larroca. This particular cover was done by, I think the name is pronounced InHyuk Lee. And this is the kind of like main cover A. There's loads of kind of variants out there. Some of them look really incredible, to be honest. But I'm kind of I get sick of trying to choose variants and trying to collect so many. So this time I just went with the kind of cover A, the main one, which I think looks really nice anyway. But there's some other really great ones out there, which maybe look better. So definitely keep your eye out for those. The thing about this particular series is that if you kind of go online, you'll see that there's a lot of complaints about it. One of the letdowns for most people is that, well, they're kind of looking forward to a story by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. I've never personally read any of his stuff, but people were relatively happy about that as far as I could see on Reddit and various different boards. But a lot of complaints about Salvador Larroca. I think my impression was that, a whole bunch of folks used to like his artwork, but he kind of got lazy. He started, doing a lot of kind of trace work and this kind of thing, and people aren't happy at that. And, people are have been talking about that, especially in reference to this particular series, because these kind of issues have basically shone through. Let's start with the cover artwork. If you read online, there's like a couple of complaints and maybe some flaws that people don't like. So this particular cover, which is done by InHyuk Lee, is well, for a start, I saw a video the other day talking about this tail here, and there seems to be like another tail right next to it, and it's not very clear if that's a mistake or this particular alien for some reason has two tails, or there's another one behind him, but I hope it's not a mistake. If that is a mistake, then it's really, really bad. It basically shows their kind of like quality control has been pretty bad, but maybe it's on purpose. I'm not really sure. And the other kind of noticeable thing that you're going to see a lot of comments on is basically the kind of like inner mouth that comes out the Xenomorph. Traditionally, that was like always like straight. In fact, I think that's what makes it kind of terrifying. I remember as a child really enjoying the Alien movies, and like the scary thing was this mouth being able to kind of like punch out and punch holes through people's heads, their chests, and it was the anticipation for that, which was the the kind of terrifying thing. One of the terrifying features about the whole movie. In this particular case, it's kind of I guess the mouth is movable, so it doesn't have that same kind of feature as we're kind of used to. So a lot of people are bothered by that. Personally, I don't mind it all that much. One of the problems though is that, the artist who initially, developed Alien was H.R. Geiger, and his work is really incredible, very famous, and I think that people are so into his work that they want to see it, done properly by other artists. So I can understand people's frustrations, but yeah, personally, I can kind of overlook it, to be honest. So yeah, if you watch other kind of YouTubers and their reviews on this, you'll see that most of them are unhappy with the artwork, and they kind of find that the kind of storyline itself is kind of okay. So I've just finished it. I haven't had a lot of time to kind of put my thoughts together on it, but I did enjoy it. It was a quick read, and I found it to be pretty interesting. So upcoming now is maybe some spoilers that if you don't want to know what's happening in the story, definitely switch this YouTube video off. But I'm just going to give you like a kind of very brief overview of like what's happening in this particular issue. So basically it starts with the opening scene is a kind of nightmare that one of the characters is having. The artwork for this again is like a bit strange. There's like a kind of like weird xenomorph, if that's what they are, just at the top here, and they kind of look more humanoid. So I saw another comment talking about that might be the Queen. If it is, I think that's like maybe a bizarre way to kind of represent them. So I can understand if people are kind of annoyed about that. You can watch other reviews to hear about like more detail about what's going on with the artwork itself, but I'm going to skip through it. The reason is because to me the storyline was nice, and I haven't, seen enough artwork by this artist before and other artists to like comment about it in detail. But for me, just as a kind of casual reader, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it went well with the storyline. It looked completely fine. So yeah, I can overlook that. So it opens with like this nightmare somebody's having, and basically it ends up that the main character, who's called Gabriel Cruz, is meeting the psychologist, and the psychologist is an android, which you'll definitely you'll definitely recognize from the movies. And basically what's happening is that he appears to be retiring from a space station, which is called the Epsilon space station, and he's kind of like heading back home. And these nightmares that he's had, obviously from like a previous mission, it's causing him a lot of problems, a lot of mental health problems, which is probably why he's visiting this android psychologist. And basically, as he's leaving, we can see that he's kind of given, I don't know if he's given an award or he's given a speech by somebody else. So he's obviously very highly regarded on the space station and within the kind of Weyland Corp. And before he returns back to Earth, we get this kind of brief storyline background. So basically, what it's saying is that in 2122, one of the spaceships called Nostromo basically ended up in a failed mission. And that's basically the kind of entire plot of the very first Alien film. And it's explained that the year is now 2200. So he returns to Earth, and when he gets home, his son basically appears, and it's very apparent that his relationship with his son is completely broken. They get into an argument, and they haven't seen each other for years. So it's probably a bit strange that the son kind of shows up, maybe out of the blue. But he quickly leaves, and basically what we learn is that the son has basically kind of visited his father in order to steal a kind of hard drive of data of some sort. So the son leaves quite rapidly, and in between that, we kind of get some flashbacks to what Gabriel had experienced previously when he was out in space. And if we fast forward a bit, basically what happens is we return to the Epsilon space station, and there's these two characters. I guess they might be security, looking after the kind of docking bay to the space station, and basically it gets infiltrated. A gang of folks come on and basically kill them and kind of try to take over the spaceship. But the kind of main point about all of this is that the person who actually does this is Gabriel, the main character's son. So he's obviously used this hard drive to kind of break into the space station. And then they all come across this lab growing, some kind of aliens, and they don't know what it is. And but obviously they kind of don't understand the implications of what's inside these vials. And basically the comic ends with a shot being fired, I guess, and one of these kind of face huggers breaking out of the lab, and that's where the kind of story ends. So we don't know, has the face hugger escaped, or has it already been running around the ship? We don't know yet. So we just have to wait until the second issue to come out. So I quite enjoyed it. It was a fun read. I quite liked the artwork. Didn't really see too much of a problem with it. And actually I'm kind of looking forward to the second issue. So I only bought this one last week. I don't know if the second issue is out yet. I think that's still to come. From memory, it might be the end of April 2021, but might be completely wrong with that. I'm kind of taking a wild guess. I should have probably checked before I made this video. But anyway, that's it from the Alien comic. I hope you enjoyed the overview. I hope you didn't watch it and get spoilers if you are planning to pick it up. But even if you did, it's worth getting anyway. Definitely worth it. I think my next video, probably I'll make on the kind of 3 Joker series. It's probably a bit outdated, and I know that it's been covered a lot, but I've actually collected nearly all of the variants, so I might actually kind of go through and show you those and talk about the different artists that worked on them. And I'm also waiting on Keanu Reeves' Berserker to arrive, so I'm super excited to get that. That was one of the first comics I became interested in about a year ago, and I was really following the dates for when the comic was coming out, and then it get delayed, and I kind of ended up forgetting about it. So next video will either be 3 Jokers, or we might just jump into the kind of Berserker series, because that might be better to cover, because there's probably not going to be as many kind of YouTube videos about it because it's very new. But let's see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you've got any comments, probably you do have some comments maybe about what I said about this particular series, especially if you're a kind of like seasoned comic reader in Marvel or DC, but I'm not. So it's kind of maybe nice for you to get the opinion of somebody who normally doesn't really read comics to find out what I think is a kind of casual user. But that's all for now, and see you next time.